Peace be upon you. In the name of Allah, let's begin by telling you about my name. I'm Salam Abu Na'mah. I'm one of the teachers of English at Summer Saadetdin Secondary School. Today I'm here to to do some revision for Unit 3. If you open your book at Unit 3, you will find the title, which is A Funny Thing Happened. If we want to demonstrate the title, you will notice that here the word funny means causing laughter. And if we want to talk about the verb happened, you notice that it's in the past simple. So it means the story, which is funny, happened in the past and finished in the past. Let's see the main concepts in these three stories that we are going to read in the text. Here we have three headings, and each story goes under a specific heading. We have the coincidences, number 1. The second one, misunderstandings. The third one, unintended meanings. Now to define each one, about coincidences. Coincidences are stories about unexpected events and connections. The second one, misunderstandings, are stories about people getting the wrong idea. While the unintended meanings, they are stories about saying things that aren't quite what you mean. Let's move to story number 1. If you look at the picture, you will notice here that we have three main characters. The mother and her daughter Fatima, who is 6 years old. And we have the old man who is Mr. Aziz. Mr. Aziz is the man who lives next door. The beginning of the story happened as so when the mother noticed that the bananas that she had bought a week ago were going brown. So instead of throwing them away, she decided to make banana cakes. After making the banana cakes, she tasted one of them and it was delicious. So because it was delicious, she suggested taking one to Mr. Aziz. As I told you, Mr. Aziz is their neighbor because he lives next door. When they went to take this banana cake to Mr. Aziz, the mother did not say anything. The daughter started saying something to Mr. Aziz about this banana cake by saying, "We had some old bananas that were going bad. So instead of throwing them away, we made them into a cake for you. I hope you like it." So if you look at the mother here in the picture, you will notice that she felt embarrassed when she heard this. So if we want to go to the suitable heading for this story, we can choose number 3, which is unintended meaning. So it goes under this heading. Let's move to story number 2. If you look at the picture, we can notice that we have two girls here traveling on a train, and we have the bubbles above them with the question marks. It means that they had met by chance. They did not know that they were going there. The story happened when the two old school friends were with each other and they were talking about another school friend who is Jan. They did not think about her. They did not hear anything about her for over 10 years. But it was the chance to meet this school friend who is Jan on the train. And Jan recognized her old school friend who is Suzanne. So Jan recognized Suzanne, and it was a coincidence. So the suitable heading for this story is coincidence, number 1 here. We have number 1, which is B. It is a coincidence. Let's move to story number 3. Look at the picture. You can notice that we have two men. One of them is young and the other is old. The story happened when we had a meeting for the colleagues. The company often makes this meeting for the colleagues twice or 3 or 4 times a year. So it was a chance for these colleagues to meet with each other and to catch up with each other. The story happened when in the morning, this young man, without recognizing the old man because he was standing back to him. He did not see his face. So because of this, he thought that it was done. So he came nearer to him and started batting on his head. Batting like this, hitting gently. So this means that he was his colleague. But when he turned, it wasn't done. It was another person. So the story or the situation became worse when this person was very formal and he was serious. He did not see the funny thing of the situation. So he started saying to him, "I'm sorry to say that you may have made an error." So you notice here that this was a misunderstanding, the heading that goes under this story. We have number 2, misunderstanding, which is C. Okay, I have a note here for my students to motivate them. I find that the harder I work, the more luck I seem to have. So this is a saying which is said by Thomas Jefferson. Now, the next activity here, we will deal with vocabulary. Let's look at this table. We have the word and the English meaning, the Arabic meaning. For example, let's take some of these words as a sample. We have mentioned here. Mentioned means said something about. If you look at straight here, straight means immediately. Sometimes we have the other meaning, another meaning for straight, which is not curved. But here notice that when we say he went straight to bed, it means that he went immediately, which means li in Arabic, مباشرة or فورا. It's an adverb here. Like when we say straight, not curved, it's an adjective. Now the other words that we have, let's look at padding here. Padding means hitting gently. بمعنى يربت، يعني يطبطب بحنية هيك. Now look at knowledge here. Knowledge means things that we know. اللي هي معرفة. Okay, now the next. Here we have to use the words and phrases in activity 3 to complete the sentences below. Here let's look at number 4. He looks older than he is because he's almost completely bald. Isn't when we say older, it means that we have something to make him look older. Here we have the adjective bold. And where do we use this adjective after be? Here we have is. And we have completely, which is an adverb, which is followed by the adjective bold. Let's see number 7 to make a difference between number 5 and number 7. I have no idea who he was. He was just a stranger. Here we have a, so after a we have to use a singular noun. To make a difference between number 5 and 7, let's read number 7. I see him every day, but he isn't a friend of mine. He's just a colleague. Maybe you will be confused by using either stranger here or colleague, but according to the meaning, when we say I have no idea, it means that he's a stranger. Like when we say I see him every day. I see him every day, but he is not my friend, so he is my colleague. Now let's move to the next activity, which is about the phrasal verbs. Here we are going to rewrite the sentences by using the phrasal verbs in the list here, and sometimes we need to change the form of the verb if needed. The phrasal verbs here are catch up, put up, turn out. Here we are going to replace some of the words in the sentences by using the phrasal verbs. Like, let's see number 2. Here we have, he was visiting the town for a few days, so I let him stay in my flat. Instead of saying let stay, we can replace it by the phrasal verb, which gives the same meaning, which is put up. Look here, that when we say let, it's in the past simple. How do we know this? Because we have in the previous sentence, we have was visiting. So here it's in the past simple. So you know that here when we have let, the 3 forms are the same. Let. And the same will be with put. When we use put, we have the three forms are the same. Put, put, put. So you have to notice that this is past and this is past. Okay. Okay, now let's move to period number 2, which is about coincidences. طبعا in the previous period we had story number 2, which is about coincidences, when we had the chance of this meeting between Suzanne and John while they were traveling on the train, and it was a coincidence. طبعا instead of having the whole passage, I have made the paragraphs by giving the main ideas in each paragraph. In the text we have 4 paragraphs. Let's begin with paragraph number 1. Here we have the main ideas in the paragraph. The first one, people saying it's a small world. So what does this mean when we say people when they say it's a small world؟ يعني الدنيا صغيرة. بنيجي بنقول الدنيا صغيرة. امتى بنحكي هذا الكلام أو شو بيعني هذا الكلام؟ When we say it's a small world means that people's lives are more connected. They are more connected than they used to be. So when we say used to be, this refers to the past time. When do we use this? When do people use this sentence? It's a small world. طبعا it's used when people have experienced one of those strange coincidences that mean to happen in nearly everyone's lives. Let's have an example for this. طبعا the example, which is you are on holiday in another country and you run into a person from home. طبعا here when we say run into means meet by chance، يعني إنه الواحد يقابل الثاني بالصدفة، يعني ما يكون مخطط لهذا الإشي. So we have this example without having any knowledge that the other was going there too. Okay, let's speak about the pronouns in the paragraph. Here we have they in line 1. It refers to people. Their line 4 refers to another country. Now let's move to paragraph number 2. Here we will have this idea, the general opinion about the people. We have what people think of such coincidences. They think that the coincidences are evidence of something mysterious, hidden plan outside our knowledge. But we have a specific opinion. This specific opinion is by some people. Some people don't believe the scientific explanation for strange coincidences. The reason why they have this opinion, they don't believe the scientific explanation for strange coincidences, is that they prefer a more exciting explanation. Of course, we know that in the text we have the sentence in the scientific explanation is less exciting. It's not enough for some people, so they prefer a more exciting explanation. That's why they do not believe scientific explanation for strange coincidences. Now the second main idea in the paragraph, in paragraph number 2, we have 2 definitions for coincidences, and you have to be careful. We have to know these 2 definitions. The first definition about coincidences, what are coincidences? They are events that unexpectedly happen at the same time for no clear reason. We don't know any reason for having these coincidences because they are unexpected. Now the second definition, the second one is the coincidences are اللي هي finding an unexpected connection between seemingly random things or people. When we speak about the word random, means unplanned, no arrangement. Now here we have an example in the paragraph, and the example is mentioned for the second definition. How do we know that it's for the second definition? From the word the ladder. It's a common example of the ladder. The ladder here means the last one mentioned. And what is the last one mentioned? It is the second definition. Because if we want to say that it is an example for the first definition, so we will have, instead of the ladder, its opposite, which is the former. So what is this example? It's talking to a complete stranger and finding that you have the same birthday. Sometimes you will have this situation in your life. In my class, I have only 17 students, and 2 of them have the same birthday. Also, what is the funny thing about this is that they also have the same names. We have Abrar and Abrar, and also these 2 have the same birthday. So I have this in my classes. Okay, now let's see the pronoun that, line 10. What does it refer to? It refers to having the same birthday with a complete stranger, which means here the example. Now it, line 8, refers to scientific explanation. Now, according to paragraph 3 and 4, you will notice that here we have one main idea in the 2 paragraphs. This idea here, 2 parts of the scientific explanation to prove strange coincidences. Why do we have strange coincidences? So we have 2 parts for the scientific explanation. Let's speak about part number 1. The first part is the mathematical way. The second part, which is in paragraph number 4, there are so many events in people's lives. To talk about the first part, the mathematical way, I have drawn here a table to show you the probability of people, 2 of the people having the same birthday or sharing the same birthday. What is the number of the people that we need to have in the room? So in the first item, if we have 23 people in a room, so the probability that 2 of them sharing the same birthday is 50%. But if we have the second item, if we have 30 people, so the chance will be more. It will be 55% or more. The percent or the probability will be 98 if we have 48 people in the room. And it will be 100%, as the writer said, if we have 50 of you reading this passage, the text, or I hope that there will be more than 50, so the probability will be 100%. Now, according to the second part of the scientific explanation, here there are so many events in people's lives. Let's take, and this depends on 2 items, in terms of the age and in terms of the personality. In terms of the age, as you get older, and in terms of the personality, according to your personality, if you are the kind of person who talks to strangers, we have people who like to talk to strangers, they like to interact with people. So these 2 items will make the number of people in your life that you have connection with them, they will increase. Isn't this number will increase? So by this, you will definitely come across coincidences. Okay, now here in this passage, in this paragraph number 3, you will notice that we have 2 words which are synonyms. We have probability and the chance. In the same paragraph, in paragraph number 3, we have goes up. Goes up means rises. When we say the probability goes up to 98%, so it will rise, it will increase. Here we have also another 2 synonyms, 2 words that are synonyms. In paragraph 3 and paragraph 4, we have definitely and certainly. Certainly is mentioned in paragraph 3, definitely is mentioned in paragraph 4. Let's speak about the pronouns in the paragraph. Here we have them. Line 17 refers to 50 people. The more, line 22, refers to people that you have had any connection with. Now the pronoun, which is line 16, it here refers to the probability. Okay, now in the end, let's speak about the writer's conclusion. The writer concluded the whole passage by saying this sentence. Coincidences are not really surprising at all. What is surprising? Not to have coincidences. Here our life becomes more complex. Why does it become more complex? Because we have the internet and the social media sites. Here we will come to the vocabulary exercises about this passage. We are going to replace the underlined parts of the sentences with words and phrases from the text. Here, as a sample, let's have number three. Number three, most people are not willing to answer questions about their age. Not willing here means reluctant. Reluctant بمعنى متردد. So notice here after are, because it's a verb to be, it is followed by adjective. So reluctant here is an adjective. Now the last one, number 5, he did not expect to find his friend's name by chance in the newspaper. Here we have find by chance means come across. Look here, if we speak about come across, here it's a verb. Why do we have a verb? After to. Is an after to, we use infinitive verb. And here come across means find by chance. What is come across? Because it is a verb and followed by a particle, it is a phrasal verb. Now let's choose the correct answer here, the best answer from the activity. Circle A, B, or C. If we want to speak about the number 5, what does the ladder, the phrase the ladder, line 9, refer to? It refers to A, finding unexpected connections. Now let's move to language. In this language study, we are going to speak about 3 past tenses. The first one is the past simple, the second is past continuous, and the third is past perfect. Here I have prepared for you the form of the past simple with the first past tense. As usual, in my class when I teach my students, I always begin by giving them sentences. From the sentences, when I discuss them with my students, they conclude the rule by having the form when it is positive, when it is negative, when we have be, when we have the negative be not. So let's begin with the form here. The positive form, you notice that we use verb to. Like for example, if we have the verb eat, it will be ate. But if we have the negative, it will be didn't plus verb 1. Make sure that we have to use verb 1, infinitive, after didn't. In the present simple, we use don't or doesn't when we have the negative plus verb 1. And here, because we have didn't, also we use verb 1. Like for example, if we have not buy, it will be didn't buy. Here if we have be, we are going to correct be into 2 forms. It can be either one. Concerning the keywords for the past simple, first we have yesterday. We have ago, last plus time, like when we say last week, last year, last month. Before plus time, before a week, before 2 months, before 5 years, etc. If we have past time such as 2018, even if we have the date of yesterday, today is the 18th of March, if we have 17th of March, we use past simple. This morning, if you look at this keyword, this morning, now, at what time are we now? We are in the afternoon. So if we speak about something that happened this morning, so we use the past simple. Also when we have previous or previously. Now let's see the question form for the past simple. To speak about the question form, we have the main verb and we have be. To talk about the question form, we have 2 kinds of questions. We have the WH question and the yes-no question. The question, which is WH, it begins with the WH word. Here the form will be by having the WH word at the beginning, then did, then the subject, then verb 1, and the complement. Like for example, where did you go yesterday? Notice here that we have the WH word, where, and we have did, the subject you, and verb one, which is go. Why do we use the subject in the past simple? Because we have the keyword yesterday. Now the yes-no question form, we begin with did. Notice here that the difference between the WH question and the yes-no question is by omitting the first part, which is the WH word. So we begin from the second part, which is did, the helping verb did, plus subject, plus verb one, plus the complement. For example, did you hear the latest news about coronavirus last night? Here we have last night, so we deal with past simple. The question will be asked in the past simple by beginning with did, plus the subject, plus verb one, which is here. So here you notice that we speak about the main verb. Here we have the main verb, which is go, and here we have the main verb, which is here. And why we use the past simple question? Because we have here yesterday, and here we have last night. Now to speak about be, if we have be, so the form will be different. Here we have the WH question by beginning with the WH word plus was or where. طبعا why was or where? Because it depends according to the subject. Then we have the complement. For example, we have what was your favorite subject last year? Last year, so we are going to change be into was or where after the WH. Why do we have here was? Because we have subject. Isn't subject here is singular, so because of this we use was. Suppose that it's subjects here. What? Space, your favorite subjects last year. So we replace was, instead of was we will use where, because it will be here plural subject, subjects. Now the yes no question form, the same as we said about the WH question and the yes no question, we have the difference by not having the WH word. We begin with the helping verbs was or where plus the subject plus the complement. Example, were you at home 2 days ago? Here we have ago. So we use was or where according to the subject. It depends on the subject. Here we have the subject you, so we have to use, instead of be, we have to use where. Suppose that the subject is she, so it will be was. Was she at home 2 days ago? And that's it. Now the past continuous tense. The same here, we have the positive form by using was or where plus verb in the ing. And if we have the negative, it will be wasn't or weren't plus the ing verb. If we have the question also, WH question or the yes no question, here we have something which is missing. We do not have the form of the question when it is yes no. It does not matter. Here now we will mention it orally. Here we have the WH word plus was or where plus subject plus verb in the ing and the complement. For example, let's begin with the example here in the positive form. Here we have while I was watching a film, I heard the noise. If you look at this sentence, we can notice that we have two actions in the sentence. Here we have one of the two actions was in progress. They happened in the past. They happened in the past. Like in one of the two actions was in progress and the other action was completed. So the action that was in progress, it should be in the past continuous, and here it comes after while. Here we have while, so the long action he watching a film. So because of this, it must be in the past continuous. Here we have I, which is followed by was, not where. If we have you, it will be where. Isn't while I was, and the ing of the verb watch, it is watching, was watching a film. Now the second action which is completed, we use the past simple. So we have heard the noise. Notice here that when we write heard, it shouldn't be written. The spelling is very important here when we write heard. We do not have ed, we have just d at the end of the verb. Now the example for the negative, we weren't sleeping at this time yesterday. I want to tell you something about this sentence. Suppose that we do not have at this time yesterday. Now we have a specific time with the past time, which is yesterday. Suppose that we do not have at this time, so we have to use the past simple. So what will it be? It will be we did not sleep yesterday. We did not sleep yesterday. But because we have specific time in the past, specific time. At this time in the past, which is yesterday, so we use past continuous. And here it is negative. We weren't sleeping. We weren't sleeping. And here we have weren't plus the ing verb. Now the question, which is WH, here we have, for example, if we want to add a question here, we can say, were you eating at 2 o'clock yesterday? So here we have the yes-no question. Were you eating at this time or at 2 o'clock yesterday? Also we have a specific time in the past, so we use the yes-no question by having was or were plus the subject plus the ing plus the complement. Like if we have a WH question, it will be, for example, what were you doing at 9 o'clock last night? So here the question begins with WH word, what, then we have where according to the subject because it is you, and the subject you, then we write the verb in the ing form, doing, okay, because we have a certain time in the past. Now let's talk about the use of this action. We use the past continuous tense to talk about a continuing action in the past. Now the key words here we have while, the same meaning as while, we have as, we have also when, and we have a specific time in the past. Now let's move to the activities that we have in our textbook. Look at the examples and answer the questions below. Here we have 3 examples. The first example, which is A, we have 2 verbs in the past simple because here we have the conjunction and. So what comes before and must be after and. Here we have verb to, so it will be verb to. Is an arrived and went. Went is verb to. What is the first verb or verb 1? It is go. So the present is go and the past is went. So here we have 2 verbs in the past simple because they happened and finished in the past. Arrived and went. Look at B. Here we have 2 actions. One of them was in progress and the other was completed. The one that was in progress, you talking to an old school friend. The second, which is completed, after when here. After when, notice that we use verb to, which is mentioned. It's in the past simple because it was a completed action. But here we have an action which was in progress, so we use was talking. Here in C, also we have short action and long action. By using while, here we have while, which is followed by the past continuous because it is a long action. And here we have the past simple because it's a short action. Here when we say fell, can we say he was falling? No, we can't because it takes a short period of time. Notice here that when we use when or while as connectors, we can use them either at the beginning or in the middle. When we use them at the beginning, we must add a comma in the middle. Like for example, let's use when at the beginning. For example, we can say, when she mentioned another person called John, comma, I was talking to an old friend. And the same we can do with number 2. We can say, while he was climbing the wall, comma, he fell. Now the questions here, you have this in the textbook and you can look at them and have your own revision. Okay, now let's see here the second activity by completing the correct tense of the verbs in brackets. Here you have to know that you are going to use past simple or past continuous. So this is a very important thing to know what the tenses that we are going to use in each sentence. Here we have, like for example, her mother asked her why she was crying. Here we have 2 actions. One of the 2 actions was long, so because of this it was in the past continuous, which is crying. Here it takes a long time, so because of this it must be past continuous because it was in progress. And what was the completed action? Here we have asked, so because of this it must be in the past simple. Let's look at sentence number 6. While, because here we have while, so the action after while will be long, it will be past continuous, and the other action which is completed and short, it takes past simple. So here we have while he was looking, he was looking. If we have I I was looking, لكن you were looking. Here we have heard the same when we have the completed action. We use it in the past simple. Now let's move to the past perfect, the last past tense. We have the positive form, the negative, and the question, the same as we mentioned about the first two tenses, the past simple and the past continuous. Here we have the use of the past perfect by having had plus verb 3. Here notice that in unit 1 you took about the present perfect and the present perfect continuous. When we deal with perfect, it means that we have verb 3, but when we have present perfect, we have to use have or has according to the subject, then verb 3. But here we are speaking about past perfect, so the positive will be by using had plus verb 3, the negative by using hadn't plus verb 3. Here when we speak about had or hadn't, it does not matter what the subject is. If it is singular or plural, we have the same form of the helping verb, which is had, but in the present perfect we have has or have according to the subject. The question form, when we have a WH question, here we have the WH word plus had plus subject plus verb 3 plus complement. For example, what had you done before we arrived? Here we have two actions. Now I will talk about it when we use the past perfect. And here we have the yes no question, had plus subject plus verb 3 plus complement. Okay, now let's see the examples here when we have the positive form. After I had taken the medicine, I felt much better. Here you notice that we use this tense, past perfect, when we have two actions happened in the past. They happened and finished in the past. Like in one of the two actions happened before the other. So the action that happened before must be in the past perfect. Like in the action that happened after, it must be in the past simple. It is completed. So look here at this sentence, at this example. After I had taken the medicine, I felt much better. So the action that happened before, which is taking the medicine. So because of this, we use the past perfect, and the action that comes after is felt much better. So because of this, we have the past simple. Here we have after, and when we have after, you have to know that after we use the past perfect, and the second action will be past simple because it is the second action. Now the second example here, everyone realized that coronavirus had become a global epidemic. Here we have realized, here we have reported, past reported. So when we have a past reported, we use the past perfect because we express about the earlier action. Here, when did people realize this thing? When coronavirus had become. Isn't this is the earlier action, had become a global epidemic, and after that, people or everyone realized this. So we use the past perfect after realized, which is the reported, which is in the past. To talk about the negative, and here we have another key word for the past perfect when we have by plus time in the past. By yesterday, she hadn't been to university. So here we have by yesterday. When we speak about by plus time in the past, by yesterday, by last week, by last month, or by last year, so we use the past perfect. We deal with past perfect. Suppose that we do not have by just the time in the past, which is, for example, yesterday or last plus time, so we only use the past simple, as we mentioned this in the past simple. To talk about the past continuous, here we have the example, the question, To talk about the question form, we have the example, what had you done before we arrived? Here we have also another key word to deal with the past perfect. Here we have before, also we have two actions, one of them happened before the other. The action that happened before must be in the past perfect, and the other action must be in the past simple. Here because we have before, so the action that comes after before, it is the second action, so it will be past simple. Like in the other action, because it happened before, so it must be in the past perfect. What had you done? Now the yes no question, had plus the subject plus verb 3 plus the complement. Here also the example, had your brother taken the book back to the library by last week? So notice here we have by plus time in the past, so the question will be in the past perfect by beginning with had, then the subject, and here we have taken, which is verb 3. Now let's see the use. I mentioned the use, but to make a check over for it, let's see the first use for an action that happened before another action in the past. The second use in reported past simple to express an earlier action. So here when we deal with this use, we deal with these keywords after, before. But when we speak about the second use, here we have realized. And that's it. Now let's move to the activities that we have in our textbook. Here we have 3 examples. In the first example, you notice that we have the connector when. It is used in the middle, and here we have 2 actions in the past, left and arrived. In B, we have one of the actions is in the past continuous, and we have the other action, the other action which is in the past simple, by having the same connector, which is when. In C, we have one of the 2 actions is past perfect and the other is past simple. Now let's see which sentence suggests that. The meaning of each sentence. Samir was perhaps late, so there were some people he did not meet. So this is for sentence C, because here we have some people, some guests that Samir did not meet. Why? Because they had left. So the action that happened before. So because of this, he was late. He did not meet them. Number 2, at the door, Samir met some people leaving the party. So this is for sentence number 2, because we have the action was that was in progress when Samir arrived. Samir arrived and the other people, some guests at the door, they were leaving. So the action was in progress. Okay, now we see here it deals A, number 3. Some people were perhaps waiting for Samir to arrive before leaving, or perhaps left before because they did not want to talk to him. They did not want to talk to him. So because of this, they left when he arrived. Here we are going to match the sentences with each other. Let's take samples from this table. I felt much better when, with F, after I had taken the medicine. So the action that happened before, here we have had taken, and here we have past simple. Let's speak about number 7. They decided to go for a walk. They decided, completed action with A, while the sun was shining. Here we have while, which is followed by past continuous, was shining. Now the next activity, activity number 3, we are going to rewrite the sentences as single sentences, changing the tense of one verb and the order of the events if necessary, by using the words that we have in brackets in order to join these events. Let's see number 2. The bell rang, everyone stopped working and left the building as soon as. بمعنى بمجرد. طبعا when we have as soon as بمجرد, the 2 actions happened at the same time. We do not have a very duration or long time between the first action and the second action. So because of this, we use the 2 actions in the past simple. So we have to know carefully where we have to put this connector or this the words that are in brackets. Here we have it with the first sentence. As soon as the bell rang, comma, everyone stopped working and left. Here notice that we have rang, which is verb 2, and stopped and left, also verb 2. All of the verbs are in the past simple. Why? Because we have as soon as. And what do we put in the middle, in between the 2 sentences? We have a comma. Why? Because we use as soon as at the beginning. If we have it in the middle, so we will not need a comma. It will be everyone stopped working and left as soon as, without having a comma, the bell rang. Now the last activity here about the past perfect, we are going to mix 3 tenses in one sentence by looking for the action that happened at the beginning by using it in the past perfect, and the action that comes after we use it in the past simple, and the action which is in progress is used in the past continuous. Here we have the examples, and here we have the other activities that come after the examples. Here we have another exercise to correct the verbs between brackets. If you look here at sentence number 1, you will notice that here we have while, so it is followed by past continuous. Because we have we use were plus ing, were talking. She mentioned the completed action. Here we have past simple. If you look at this sentence, you notice that we have one verb which is done. If you notice that the verb which is done, it means that we still have the remainings. Because we have here had been, which is in the past perfect, so what are the remaining verbs? The remaining verbs, they are the past continuous and the past simple. So here we have had been, past perfect, so we still have past continuous, comes after while, and with the completed action which is mentioned. Number 3, we have the day before. The day before, so we have the earlier action after the day before. Because of this, we use past perfect. I had promised. And the other action, here we have the action or the verb that is done for you, which is gave in the past simple. What do we still have? We still have to use the past continuous. Here we have while also. After while, what do we use? We use the past continuous. I was having, because it is the long action. Now the last activity in language, we will talk about the prefixes co and miss. Here we have to see the meaning for co and miss. We use the prefix miss to add the meaning of wrong or wrongly, bad or badly, and we use the prefix co. What does it mean? It means with or together or at the same time. Let's complete the sentences using the words in the box with either co or miss as prefixes. First, we are going to add these prefixes to the words according to the suitable use. Then we will add them in the sentences to complete the spaces. She only gets angry when students misbehave in class. Here notice that we add miss with the verb behave, because we cannot say co-behave. We have to use misbehave. Why? Because it means behave wrongly. So let's add the prefixes to the words. When we say worker, it will be co-worker, co-worker. Use, misuse. Behave, misbehave. Operation, cooperation. Pilot, co-pilot. Lead, mislead. Heard, misheard. Writer, co-writer. And here we have the sentences in the activity. The last activity in the unit is writing. So here we have the topic of our writing is about coincidences. Coincidences, the main idea in this unit. Coincidences, the passage which we learned about in period 2, it was about coincidences. When we want to write a coincidence, you have to deal with these items. You are going to mention who are the people in the story, because you are going to mention or to write about your own story. So you have to mention who the people in the story are. Now, the second item, what happened? The events in the story. What are the events in the story? When did it happen? Where did it happen? Okay, now here we have a reminder for you. Remember, when you want to write about this coincidence, you have to use the 3 past tenses that you learned in this unit when you write your own story, such as coincidences. Here we have 2 posts in order to motivate you. If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. So you have to change in order to be able to challenge. Believe in yourself. And I want to confirm this, that you have to believe in yourself, to trust yourself, to be optimistic, to be brave, to be strong, to achieve your goal, which is success. So I hope you will succeed, my dear students.